Hi, Professor Reed. This is Janice, and I'm doing my final presentation on Diageo and their risks and the mitigations. So let's just get started here. This is just a basic overview of Diageo. So Diageo basically tells you how it came about with their name, Latin word for day and the Greek word for world. And the company takes that to mean every day, everywhere. People celebrate with their brands. So Diageo is still kind of a young company. They were created in 1997. So this is giving you a back history of how they came about. I'm not really going to get all into that, but it's just there for, just curiosity if anybody wants to, know how Diageo came about and where it came from. Right here is Diageo's famous brands. You see Captain Morgan, Johnny Walker, Guinness, I think is their only beer producer. Tanqueray, Smirnoff, and Bailey's. Bailey's is actually in the grocery stores now because they produce coffee creamers and things like that. Non-alcoholic, of course. Right here is the net sales by category, and it's also by year, and you can kind of see over the years from 2009 up to 2016, sales have decreased in each category by approximately 1 to 2%. Looks like vodka is the only one that has kind of increased a little bit in the rum, but you don't see much of an increase. Pretty steady across the board, not a major decrease anywhere, but still, sales are dropping, and that's a cause for concern. So these are the three biggest risks facing Diageo right now. So it's consumer taste, anti-alcohol legislation, and product quality. So Diageo's products are not only discretionary and highly consumer centric, but they are also subject to changing consumer tastes, which we all know is true. Right now, the new thing is flavored vodkas and flavored everything. They're coming out with different kinds of flavored rums. Johnny Walker has a blue label now. So you can see where this is becoming interesting and a big thing for companies to kind of modify and be a little creative with their products. Anti-alcohol legislation, there's a lot of people pushing out there, to raise the drinking age, things like that. It doesn't seem to have a huge effect, but it can, and it could in the future. Never dismount anything. And product quality, your product has to be good, and if your product isn't good, then you really don't have a prayer. So I think those are three important risks and good things to consider their biggest risks. So in the past, their risk mitigation has pretty much been a diversified portfolio. They have a lot of products. They have liquor, they have beer, they have wine. They used to own a hotel that was sold off. They're pretty much covered across the board. Very diversified to cover, just in case one does poorly one year. Uh, they are currently on two different stock exchanges: the London Stock Exchange and the New York Stock Exchange. They have a risk mitigation team in place, and everyone in their company is pretty much trained to handle risk, which is pretty cool. I think that's a good thing. So these are some of their current risk categories, which they list on their financial reports. Um, you see things in there like talent, international tax, cyber threats, which is a big thing these days, and business acquisitions. We know that they just bought, oh, who was it? George Clooney's whiskey, which was I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but and then non-compliance with laws and regulations. Those are types of things that have to do with like transportation and taxes with the liquors and things like that. Across the board because they're different in every country. So those are very important things to keep on top of. And economic and political change because those things have a very, very big effect on any company. So currently, um, I think these are some of the risk mitigations I think they probably should look into um, if they haven't already. So right now, in North America, the United States accounts for 10% higher net sales than all the other countries, not put together but individually. So I believe that they should focus on the IPA craze in North America, but that's not to discredit that they should increase their marketing and sales in other continents. I think they have a broad push right there. So I think they need to really get their beers out there. So everybody knows Guinness, but I don't think they know that Guinness produces 9 different beers. They need to market their beers more. And I think they need to focus on IPAs. So create more eye-appealing IPAs. They have the Nitro IPA, which I didn't even know that they had. This was news to me, but apparently it came out in 2015. I've never seen it. And it's getting bad reviews. They're not getting really positive feedback on that. So I think they need to be more creative with their names. If you go into a store, most people, if you ask them, they will pick a beer or an IPA based off of its name rather than the flavor just because they want to have that on their shelf. It's just like a funny thing. And so you have some of those out there, and they include names like Horse Piss, Trooper, Raging Bitch, and MILF. And these are funny. And the Trooper is by Iron Maiden, and Iron Maiden gets profit of the cost, so that's hitting the 80s crowd big time. So future risk mitigation, because Diageo is so large and they pretty much have their stuff covered, I would say that they really need to focus on advertising and marketing and technology. Um, right now, they're advertising. I see stuff for Captain Morgan. There's not much out there for anything else, and what I have seen are pretty lame advertising. They need to be more creative. They need some fresh ideas, and they need to be innovative. Um, their other brands are like almost obsolete because of this. And because they're a leader in innovation, I believe they could do a lot with technology. Um, that goes with supply and demand. People want their product and they want that product now. They don't want to wait. They don't, and they want the product locally where they're at. They just don't want to wait, or go anywhere else. They also need to look to the future and adapt to all the technology. And because they're such a large company and they don't have a lot of risk at the moment, I believe they could be the leader in the technology movement as far as like supply and demand and things like that. So here's their risk management. They have a global risk and compliance director, and they also have global standard, which requires all markets and functions to perform at least 2 risk assessments annually, and that's important. This keeps them on top of their game. And this concludes my project. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed Diageo as much as I do now. It's one reason why I purchased stock, because I'm so impressed with them and their risk and how they mitigate it. It's very, very impressive. So thank you.